All right. Welcome to Equity or Bust, where real estate and construction meet and wealth is built. So today we have Jillian Sidoti, automation capital raising extraordinaire. She's raised well over $4 billion for different entrepreneurs, and we're lucky enough to have her on our show today. Fun fact, she, in a past life, had the chance to audition for the band Hole, if you remember them from the 90s. Heck yeah. Yeah. All right. So without further ado, Jillian Sidoti.
Hi.
Hey, Jillian. Thank you for joining us.
I'm Leo, by the way.
Oh, my God. Oh, yeah. So you can tell this is only your third one.
Keep going. It's fine.
And Leo, construction, general contractor construction extraordinaire, and also very good at systems. Anything related to physical assets, he's the man. And I'm young. I own
You're
multiple.
in Boston right now, right? You're in Boston.
Yeah. Exactly.
So how hard is it to build in Boston? Well, I guess not Boston, but Massachusetts in general right now.
They have the most red tape of the entire country, I think.
Yeah. I mean, if you wanted to throw like a rock into the ocean and go find it, that's kind of like how it is getting a permit through, you know? It's just crazy. Oh my, it's crazy. Yeah.
I mean, not everywhere, but like to be honest, the city of Boston is actually one of the smoothest permitting experiences that I have. The surrounding suburbs are a pain in the ass, and everybody is digital right now. But then you have that odd city that wants you to come in, fill out paperwork manually, and then come in and check in on them every couple of weeks.
So on the construction side, it's a little smoother, but when it comes to doing anything outside of a zoning, because like 90% of the land, it violates the current zoning. Like it's like I don't know who wrote the zoning, but it's like there's this parcel of land, but if you take the building down, you can only build a building that's 4 feet wide now in this place because you need like a 10-foot setback.
Most of the structures that are there now are non-conforming. So if you try to modify it in any way, you run into red tape as well, and you got to do variances and all that stuff.
It can take you anywhere from 9 months to 2 or 3 years to get a variance, then, because it's not just one.
Do you need the variance for? Do you need the variance for let's just say you have a 1950s building or house or whatever, and you want to do demo and do an addition to it. Do you have to bring the whole house up to current code, or is that what you mean by and then you have to apply for a variance so you don't have to?
No,
so
it's worse than that.
If you're going to add square footage to it,
you need a variance.
You need a variance. If it's not conforming already and the lot doesn't fit the required setbacks, you need a zoning variance. If you go up, sometimes you can get away with not doing it because you're not actually expanding the footprint. You're just going up. But 90% of the time, you're going to run into a bunch of red tape for it.
And some of the things that make the city lovely too is like the historic aspect of Boston, but also, that puts a lot more red tape into it. If you're doing anything historic, it could take you like another year.
But back to what you said as well.
The reason why I ask that is because, I love, like you guys, I love real estate. I used to my 18-year-old was just reminding me the other day about how I used to take him and one of his brothers. It was before my 11-year-old was born, and I would drive around and make them go to all the open houses and the new construction model homes, because we lived in a town at the time that was building tons of new construction, and they would make it their goal to go to the bathroom at a new construction model home because they knew they weren't supposed to. So they would try to find, you're not supposed to go to the bathroom in model homes. There's sometimes the water's not even turned on. And he just reminded me of that the other day. But the reason why I'm asking you this is because I was looking at California real estate today. And I noticed something very interesting. The houses in California are very expensive, per square foot, but the land compared to where I am in Puerto Rico right now is very cheap. You can get a lot of land for a lot less than a lot of land where I am in Puerto Rico. And it made me think it's because in Puerto Rico, if you just pay the right engineer, you can get permits like that, like no problem. But in California, you're not building anything. Like,
Yeah.
you're waiting eons and eons to build.
Oh, it's interesting. Yeah, I could see that because like if it's easy to build, then it's more of a valuable piece of land. I could see that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you had asked about bringing things up to code too, in the beginning. So here as well, like if you touch something, you own it. You have to bring everything up to current code. So if you
Right.
open up a wall, whatever's in that wall has to be brought up to code. Doesn't matter if you're touching it, not touching it. If you expose it, it's yours.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if that's an interesting thing. Okay, so let's just say you are like not removing a load bearing wall, but you're removing a wall that's not load bearing, and you want to put something like some other beam or something in there. That beam has to be up to code, but the 4 walls surrounding it does not.
Precisely.
Like you don't have to touch them. You don't. Yeah.
And you're basically changing occupancy. You're changing the floor plan, so you have to get permits for that. And they're going to want drawings showing existing conditions and what do you call it? Existing and what?
As built.
No, as built is existing conditions, and it's just slipped my proposed, existing and proposed. Yeah, so you got to show what it was and what it was, even if you're just moving a wall. Sometimes
It's
people.
funny. Yeah, because it's like I go like I my first reaction to you saying all this was like, "Ugh, this is why I hate the government, right? Like I hate them so much. But then I go somewhere like Mexico, you know, and you're walking down the stairs and you notice the stairs are all like different heights. And you're like, I'm going to break my knee. Like,
You won't find people that hate government oversight and stuff like that more than us, but like the amount of houses that we walk into that we're like, what the fuck happened here? It makes you understand like this is
like
why
every
it's
day.
necessary. It's every single time. Every time
day.
we walk into a flip or we open people's walls or something and we see like just random like Katie's a house in Newton. We demoed one of the walls to get to add the kitchen upstairs. There's just exposed wire, like literally just cut and frayed, just sitting inside the wall, live. Just chilling in there.
Love it. Love it. You know, on the other side though, when you're talking about like heavy like government oversight too, there's another side of the spectrum. Like I come from communist Vietnam, and we have a family like it's multiple acres of land in the countryside, and it's being repossessed right now, and there's nothing you can do about it. So like, so there's that side of it too, where there's too much government regulation. They're literally taking the land and giving it to a developer, and paying like peanuts for it. Wow. And like, we got to figure out where we're going to move the graves and all. Like, it's like several acres of land that we got to figure out.
Isn't the government doing that in Cape Cod? They're eminent domain. They're making a bunch of people move so they can build a bridge or something.
Yeah, but that's different. Where it's actually to serve the public, where it's like a bridge and it's a small.
It's not
segment,
for profit, basically.
But this is for profit. They're just building a bunch of condos, like because it's prime land, and so yeah.
that's crazy. They're gonna eminent. They've been talking about it for years. The Army Corps of Engineers, the federal government is going to eminent domain a bunch of the coastline here in my town, and they're going to have to pay millions upon millions of dollars to the property owners down there because it's coastal land and it's valuable. There's one family that has a hotel down there that's been down there for 60 years, but Maria wiped so much of the coastland out that, and it hasn't come back. And so you see concrete structures like just literally sitting in the ocean now. So, I don't know. Eminent domain sometimes has to happen.
Yeah, I get that, but it's different when it's like for public use versus for profit, Yeah. So, speaking of that too as well, how did you get into the capital raise industry anyway?
I was in real estate and we needed money. Like really seriously, I started in real estate in 2005 and we were doing condo conversions down in San Diego, before the downturn. It was really, really good until it was really, really bad, right? So we, we'd buy an apartment building and we would subdivide it. We'd get like what's called a tentative map where we're saying this is our plan for this building, and then we'd get a permanent map. It's basically you're not changing the zoning per se because it's still residential real estate, right? But you were changing the entitlements so you could entitle each individual unit as a condominium. and basically we would buy the units for like $100,000 a piece. So you'd buy a building, an 8-unit building for $800,000. But then we were able, once we rehab them, we were able to sell them for like $300,000 to $400,000 a piece.
Oh.
And we put about $50,000 into each unit to update it, because these aren't huge, units. They're anywhere from a 1-bedroom, 800 square foot 1-bedroom to, a 3-bedroom, 1,200 square foot unit. And so we did that, and it was great. And it was like, it was a big feast until it was no longer a feast. And this is what, obviously everybody knows there was a downturn. But before there was a downturn, there was this little community group called Acorn. I don't know if you guys remember Acorn or if you've ever heard of them before.
Sounds
they do financing now, don't they? They're still around, right?
The most famous community organizer in the world was part of Acorn, Barack Obama.
Oh, okay.
And so it was his organization basically came in, they hired a bunch of renters who just would go into City Hall and scream about how their apartments were being stolen from them. And then they hired an environmental attorney. There's a environmental legislation in California called CEQA that is like just above and beyond anything else in the country. And this environmental attorney comes in, sues the city and the county of San Diego. All these renters come in and sue. And their big argument was that that condos were worse on the environment than apartments because condo owners usually owned more cars. That was the argument. So if you owned a condo, you might own 2 cars, but if you had an apartment, you only had 1 car.
How's the real estate market
just a silly argument, but
in California right
we
now?
So we saw the writing on the wall. The city didn't like being yelled at by renters, even though what was interesting about those renters, the law was on their side in terms of whenever somebody like us came in to convert their building, we had to give them a 180-day notice, a 90-day notice, a 60-day notice, and a 30-day notice to move out. And then not only that, we had to pay them to move out. And we had to pay them a lot of money to move out, even if because of our plan, even if their lease was up and we were saying we weren't renewing the lease, we still had to pay them. So, there was a lot of advantages of being a renter in San Diego during that time. But with that being said, those kinds of projects are really capital intensive. And that's how I started raising capital. And I did both sides of the equation. I would spend, 8 hours a day preparing paperwork for banks to get the loans, 3 days of the week. And then the other 2 days of the week was preparing paperwork for equity investors and meeting with equity investors. So it was just like, and I really learned how, to talk to investors and talk to them about what a deal is and what the legal documents looked like and things like that. And then when the downturn came and we were like, oh God, we're not buying any more real estate. That's when I decided to start practicing law. And I started representing a lot of note buyers because at the time, the opportunity to buy
pennies on the dollar. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. I had a group of guys call me once and tell me they just needed $3 million. And if I could come up with $3 million. And I was like, for what? And they're like, we're going to buy a package of $300 million in notes. Like some bank was willing to sell
1%.
Yeah, 1%.
1%?
I might actually have that wrong. I think it was more like 3%. So maybe they needed $9 million.
Still
3%.
But I remember the loan package being, I remember the loan package being $300 million and it being like short money to get that.
Wow. If we knew what we knew today and had the back then, wow. Wow. All right.
Don't. I can't. You know what I can't stop thinking about right now is I have so many would have, could have, should have moments in my life, especially being a securities attorney. Not this past March, but the March before it, I got offered to invest in SpaceX.
Ooh.
I was like, I don't know. I don't know how SpaceX makes money. Like what? Wait, we're gonna go to Mars? I don't understand.
You know, they just talked about how the actual financials have been released because they're trying to go public, right? And they're just losing billions of dollars right now. But I think it's.
You know what? I'm gonna be honest with you. That gives me great joy because this IPO. I'm sorry. I know, and I love Elon Musk, and I never would bet against him. But it gives me great joy because I was feeling. I have had moments of complete like pit of my stomach. I can't believe I didn't invest in the SpaceX like private place. It was a private placement memorandum. It literally got emailed to me like, $100,000 gets you into SpaceX, and I was like, I don't know how they make money.
Well, you know, like I think a lot of the tech companies are, they're talking about future goodwill. Really, their PEs are off, and I mean, if you look at their balance sheet, like except for Apple has a really good balance sheet, but like I feel like a lot of these tech companies, like it's about like Amazon doesn't make money, right? But it's about the future. You know what I mean? I think SpaceX is about the future. And if anything, there are people that want that and maybe the people that want to give back, they're trying to like advance technology. Maybe that's part of what it is. But the evaluations, a lot of them don't always make sense. Like you said. I don't disagree with you. It's like
yeah, and I remember, and this is true of most IPO, like really big splash IPOs, is that they come on strong like the first day of the markets like crazy, but then they lose like 50% of their value throughout the next year. So, and I experienced this because I invested in Facebook's IPO when it first came out, and it immediately tanked. Right. Like it immediately, like, I think, I don't remember what the numbers are, but I think it was like, it started at like $36 a share and it immediately went down to like $18 a share or something like that. And I mean, obviously like it turned out fine. I held on to it past all of the negativity and it worked out just fine. But, investing in those first couple of days of an IPO usually is a terrible idea because it's just overinflated. It's got too much hype.
So should you bet? You're saying I should always bet against IPOs when they first come out?
Because they usually have like what I think is going to happen with SpaceX. Well, I don't have a crystal ball, right? But I think there's so much hype around it. It's like you're going to see those first couple of days of like massive buy-in and massive sell-off, right? So you'll see this massive buy-in from retail investors in particular who are just going to go in a feeding frenzy trying to get in on it because they think there's going to be like a literal rocket ship that takes off. But what's going to be fighting against that is all of the private placement memorandums. Like I know a couple of the private placement investors who invested who just can't wait for that day because they're planning on it. They have a 33x right now, according to the valuation. So they're just waiting so they can sell as soon as the market opens.
No, because then you just cash out while it's hot. Yep. Yeah.
Right. And then there's a lockup period of 6 months for a bunch of the other investors. Like the big investors have a lockup period of 6 months. So they're not going to be able to sell until like December. And then you'll probably see even more of a fall off because those locked up investors are even bigger investors. Those are like the funds and the early, the 5% people who own they're never not people for the most part, they're entities that own more than 5% and stuff like that.
So talking about like IPOs and launching things like that, I guess the question like we would have for you and maybe some of the viewers here would be like, when do you know is the right time to start raising capital? Like, when do you know?
God, you should be in a capital raising mode at all times. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but it's absolutely true because if you think about what you're trying to do when you're trying to get people to invest in your deal is you're trying to get them to know, like, and trust you.
Yeah.
And it's not like a small investment. It's not like a small investment of money, and it's not something that's usable to them in the short term, right? So like they can't see the pay. Like if I go to the dealership And I'm like, I like that car. Here's $50,000 to buy that car. I immediately get the car, right? I can see it, I can touch it, I can use it, I can drive it around. But when you say to somebody, here's $50,000, now wait for me to deliver to you what I'm promising you, and you don't know me, it's a heavier lift. Well, it's a lot heavier lift. It's like it's almost not comparable, even though I still was so bold to make the comparison. So what you really want to be doing right now, if you know you're ever going to have to raise capital, you want to start doing those things to get people to know, like, and trust you right away. Posting on social media, showing what you're doing, getting your brand awareness, understanding who your avatar is. And I said that kind of backwards. The number one thing you need to figure out is who you are as a company, what you represent, what you stand for, what your voice is going to be like, how you're going to stand. There's a big difference. And I'll give you an example. There's a big difference between how, say, somebody like Grant Cardone or Tony Robbins talks and how you talk, right? You're not going to talk like Grant Cardone. And that's fine. You shouldn't have to talk like Grant Cardone. You shouldn't want to talk like Grant Cardone. And he has his audience, but you need to talk like you and whatever your company is like. So with that being said, what you really want to be thinking about is, do I sound like myself at all times? And what is that? What is my voice blueprint? And the title of this is AI. How I do this for my clients is I use AI, right? I have specific AI tools and agents that I've built, but you don't need to use my tools and my agents to do this yourself. You can do this yourself. I'm going to tell you exactly how to do it. To figure out what your AI voice is, and then we will map the whole thing out for our client. Like, this is who you are. Based on all of the stuff, all the data you've given us, we have made the determination that this is who you are. This is who you are as a company. Here are the phrases you use. Here are the words you use. Here's what you don't use. You never say, like, for example, crush it. If saying I'm going to crush it today is not in your vernacular.
I don't know if I've ever said that.
How do you aggregate that information from your clients?
Yeah,
do you just like follow them around or like bug them or something? Or
what are the data points? Yeah.
I interview them. So but here's the thing, like, not everybody's going to hire me. You all can certainly hire me and I'll do this for you. But here's what you can do on your own using AI. You ask AI to ask you questions. Say, I want you to create a voice blueprint for me and my company. What do you need to know? Like, so it's open-ended like that. And then the AI will ask you questions. Now, one thing I always say about AI, it's garbage in, garbage out, right? Mm-hmm. It's just like putting food into your body. If you eat McDonald's, you're not going to feel good. And if you put in garbage into your AI, it's not going to give you good results. So you really need to train the AI to work with you and to get the best results possible, because we all hear stories about AI hallucinating or not, or sounding like AI and things like that, and you're still going to run into those problems. So that's why it's really important to be as meticulous as possible and ask the AI what it needs in order to be truly successful. And then that's how you get that information. And so what's step 2? After you've gotten the voice blueprint done and you understand exactly who you are as a company, then the next part of it is to find out, well, who will this message resonate with? And I would encourage everybody to come up with 3 different client personas or avatars, right? Like, who is our investor? And a lot of times people are like, what do we always hear? I'm just looking for high net worth investors. I'm just looking for accredited investors. Well, that's not helpful. That's just a dollar sign. 50 Cent is an accredited investor, right? NFL players are accredited investors. NBA players are accredited investors. We talked about Hole. Courtney Love's probably still an accredited investor. We'll give her the benefit of the doubt. She's got the Nirvana money. But But you know who you know who else is an accredited investor? You know, your next door neighbor, the doctors, the engineers, the small business owner. You're not going to talk to them the same way you would talk to 50 Cent about an investment opportunity, because 50 Cent's probably not your investor. The doctor, the engineer, the lawyer, those are your investors. The lifetime federal government employee, those are probably your investors. And guess what? They're all different people with different needs and in different stages of their lives. And so you need to make sure you're talking their language and addressing their fears and addressing their desires and understanding what they're looking for in an investment opportunity before you start sending out messages to them.
So that actually is a good point. So how much, when talking to a future investor or somebody that you want to invest in your company or yourself, how much of it would you say is the numbers and how much of it is actually the storytelling?
The numbers are irrelevant. They really are. I know that sounds like counterintuitive. Like, how can you say the numbers are irrelevant? But it's like this. If I told you I had a 50% return on investment opportunity, but we had to go collect rocks from the moon, would you take it?
That kind of sounds a little cool.
No, because we have no way to get to the moon unless, of course, we buy SpaceX stock, and maybe then we can get right.
Should invest in SpaceX.
We don't. There's no. It's just a fast track to you losing money, right?
Yeah.
You know, yeah. Right. So and also,
I don't think I'd make a good investor.
The numbers are what I always tell people when they're like, "What do I have to offer in order to get my investors to invest? Like, what's the sweet spot? What's the number? The number is the amount you can afford to pay comfortably. That's it. That's the number. So, for example, I mean, it doesn't do you any good to offer 15% return on investment when you know full well you can't pay more than 12, right? Like, you're just going to piss off a bunch of people. Mm-hmm. So it's irrelevant what the numbers actually are. It's what you offer to make sure that adds up to what is available. Now, and this is another point about your avatar. Who is your avatar and what are you offering them? And really not who's your avatar and what are you offering, right? We got to find this balance between things like who are you as a company and what are you offering? And then which type of avatar does that fit for? And then how do we talk to that avatar? That's really the order, how it goes. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. I had a client many years ago who was basically a farmer in Missouri, right? He was a real estate investor and a financial advisor, but he was also a farmer in Missouri. And that's really what he identified as a farmer. And one day he calls me and he's like, I need to write a new private placement memorandum. And I said, okay. And he said, this is what I'm going to offer. If they invest $25,000, I'm going to give them 2%. If they invest $35,000, I'm going to give them 3%. And if they invest more than $50,000, I'm going to give them 4%.
4%?
Yeah, exactly. See, right. And I'm like, yeah, I had the same reaction you did. And I said, I don't think I heard you right. Did you say 2, 3, and 4%? And he said, that's correct. And I said, what? No one's going to invest in that. And his answer to me, I'll never forget, this was like probably 15 years ago, at least. He said to me, you wouldn't invest in that. I wouldn't invest in that. But that's what my investors are going to invest in. And at the time that this was all going down, interest rates were really, really low. He says, interest rates like a bank, a savings account at a bank was only like yielding at 1% at the time. He's like, I'm basically telling them that they're going to make double what they would make if they put their money in the bank and they don't trust the bank. These are people who have money under their mattresses.
I was saying, can you introduce me to this guy?
Right.
Like, you know, like they've got a huge gun rack and they don't trust the government and they shove their cash under the bed because they think there's going to be a run on the bank and the bank's telling them 1%. And here I come along and saying, I'm going to double that. And that is a little bit scary to them. So I really have to be mindful. Like if I told them any more than that, they wouldn't actually invest. Now that's not normal, but there is a threshold for everybody with that, right? Because if you tell like I'll take federal government employees, I find this with a lot. If you take a federal government employee who's only been investing in their federal government 401k, for the last 25 years, and they've steadily made like 6 to 8%, and you tell them they're going to make 12, they don't trust that, and they don't trust that. So you've got to be careful about what you're offering from both sides of the coin. But most importantly, regardless of everything I just said, the most important thing about returns is only offering what you can afford to pay, period. That's the most important thing.
Yeah, actually, we're big on that, actually. We're actually, don't promise something you can't do. We all want to sleep at night. Yeah. So, tell me about like your first capital raise, like the first time you ever actually raised anything, right? How did that go? I mean, did you learn anything from it? You got a good story behind it at all? Oh, she's laughing.
We want to hear about a dumpster fire.
Yeah.
You want to hear what?
We want to hear about a dumpster fire.
Yeah. I'll tell you, God, no, I better not tell that story because there's probably going to be some serious litigation with that one. No one's suing me, by the way, but like, I'm an investor in a deal, and I called a lawyer yesterday.
Oh, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah.
I had to tell a bunch of other investors, and when I told the other investors, like I could feel the fury through the text message. Like they were so mad. It's not anything I raised money for, but I was very close to the principal who did raise the money, and I'm one of the passive investors, and I'm kind of like the lead passive investor now. And when I talked to a lawyer yesterday and found out some information, it was just like, oh wow, we went from dumpster fire to whole entire garbage dump on tire fire, nuclear explosion in like a matter of a moment. So unfortunately, but the very first time I went to raise capital, and this is actually helpful because I just want people to realize like you're not alone out there. If you ever got caught in this situation, which is I was in law school. And I was studying for the bar, and I was in real estate. I didn't even think I was ever going to practice law. I thought I was just going to stay in real estate for the rest of my life. And I was studying for the bar, and I was raising capital for one of our deals down in San Diego. And we didn't have any paperwork. We were just talking to people. We're just like, hey, do you want to invest? Do you want to invest? And we'd write up like an investment contract and call it a day. And I went to a class on syndications, and I was sitting there taking the class. The class actually wasn't about syndication. The class was on software, on how to do financial modeling for your investments. Syndications wasn't even part of it. And I was talking to the teacher, and he's like, you don't seem to be paying attention in class on the financial modeling portion. I'm like, yeah, because I'm studying for the bar. And he's like, well, why are you here? Because I was studying for the bar in the middle of this financial modeling class. And I was like, listen, I just really need to I really want to know this stuff. And I had already signed up for this class, but now I'm really we're nervous about the bar. He's like, let's go to lunch. Let's talk. And so we sit down, we start talking. He goes, well, what are you up to? And I go, oh, I'm just raising capital for our condo conversion deals in San Diego. And he's like, oh, really? What are you offering? And I go, oh, well, just, we're offering 8% or whatever we were offering at the time. And he goes, yeah, but like, no, what are you offering? Like, is it preferred interest? Is it units in an LLC? Is it shares? Like, is it notes? What are you offering? And I go, no, it's just like an investment opportunity.
You just give me some money. We just want some money.
Yeah, he's like, you have to have paperwork for that. You got to have a private placement memorandum. I'm like, well, we're just offering investment opportunities. Yeah. So that was my first raise. Yeah. And I learned very, very quickly. I tell you, I was a little shaky after that whole situation because I realized like I'm studying for the bar while I'm violating securities laws left and right. So it's it was great. But yeah. So
And then what do you think is the I mean, if somebody wanted to raise, like, I don't know, they have a project that's like, say, $5-10 million or whatever, right? What do you think the first step? Say somebody finds a project and or they want to raise like $10 million. So the very first thing you said was, and say the project came to them and they haven't done anything at all. They haven't done the avatar. They haven't done any, you know, and they have an opportunity and they have a certain timeline to raise $10 million now.
Say
right?
they were you when you talked to that professor.
Yeah. Like, what's the first thing they should do in that situation?
first thing they got to do, I mean, honestly, the first thing I would do is call me. I'm not even kidding. I would say call me. I mean, I'm not even sure I can help you because you might be too far behind the eight ball. It might not be. It depends on when you have to close, and maybe we can do a rolling close. You know, maybe we can look for unique ways to get seller financing. Maybe we can get financing from a variety of different sources. So these are all the brainstorm ideas we want to come up first. We want to figure out, can we get different parties to do different things for us so we can tighten that individual basis, you know, one-on-one? Is there a way we can get a bridge loan somewhere in the mix there that we can later take out with equity investors? So that's step one, figuring out what does our equity, our capital stack look like? How can it look? What is the ideal situation? The ideal situation is somebody comes and strokes you a check for $10 million, right? But who the hell's going to do that? Aside, what do we do? You know, what do we do? We look, okay, here are the inventive ways we can do the capital stack without killing ourselves raising capital, or slow the bleed with having, or, you know, slow time down with raising capital. So that's number one. Number two is then you go, all right, do I know my identity? If I don't know that, we need to figure out that. And then the blueprint, and then you immediately start. You're going to be posting on social media. You're going to, what we do is we do automations. We have a whole automated system where we start reaching out to people on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram personally. Hey, and we can only do that for you if we already know who you are and who the avatar is. And then we start targeting the avatar and we get leads. We lead them into a webinar. And once we get them into the webinar, that's when you're going to get on the phone with them. You might even get on the phone with them before they get into the webinar, but the webinar is that next step where you're going to educate them about investing in whatever it is that you're investing. You're never doing a hard sell on the webinar per se. That will come later when you put the legal documents in front of them, or you're ready to put the legal documents in front of them. It's really about, you know, getting them to move, making that know, like, trust curve like a hockey stick, right? Where we're trying to get them to trust us really, really fast. And the only way we can do that is by not selling them anything those first couple of touches, really reaching out to them, making a meaningful connection, and then getting them to watch whatever webinar we've prepared to educate them, and then taking it from there. And it works.
So it's education.
I'll tell you, it works.
So it's basically offering like value by helping them educate them more than I mean, I think that would be a much better approach than like a hard sale. Like no one actually wants to be sold. Yeah.
It's super successful, but not only is it super successful, it's also, the thing about the education portion though is that you just cannot be generic these days. Generic education doesn't help you and it doesn't help them, right? So that's, again, this is why there's such an order to this. Who you are, who your avatar is, and then what do they need to know? And what can you tell them about what they need to know, right? So it's really that, like, I'll give you a kind of like outside of the box type of stuff. I was working with one particular client, great guy, and he lived in Florida, and he used to work for Disney, and he loved Disney. He just loved it. You might know this guy actually, Juan. But I won't say his name, but great guy. Because I think you're in the same circles as him. But
I think I know who it is.
what's that?
I think I know who you're talking about, actually. But keep going. Yeah.
What's that?
Oh, I think I know who you're talking about, but keep going.
Yeah. So he came to us and he was buying apartment buildings in Oklahoma City specifically.
I know who it is. Yep.
Yeah. And I was talking to him and I was just, kind of getting to know him and figuring things out. And anytime this guy talked about Disney, he just lit up. He just got excited. And I was like, what do you love about Disney? And he's like, because they always put Disney magic in everything they do. Like, that's like, it's the quality of Disney. And I said to him, I was like, then teach people how to put Disney magic into their apartment buildings. How can somebody put Disney magic into their apartment buildings? What are the principles of Disney that we can put into apartment buildings? And so we created him a webinar on how to put Disney magic into your apartment buildings. But you have to understand, before we even came up with that concept, when we were going through the steps of who his avatar is, who came up more than anybody else? Hispanic women in their 50s and 60s who had been in HR for years and years and years and lived in Central Florida. So, yeah. So those women are going to understand Disney.
Wait. It's that specific. It's a very that specific of a, like, how did you get to that specific of a market?
She's trying to sell us on hiring you.
I mean, like, that's very specific. It's funny. Huh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You want to get that specific. You like understanding how much somebody makes and where they live and how old they are and how many kids they have that's important. But what's really going to make it so that you can talk to your avatar in a meaningful manner is to understand what keeps them up at night, to understand their psychographics, to understand, what their fears are, what their hopes and dreams are, what gets them to turn their head, right? Like, there's certain people you talk to that are not going to care if there's a charitable bend to your investment opportunity, while there's other people who are going to eat that up. And those are the little details that you need to know about a person before you put something into your investment opportunity.
Leo, you had a question? You were about to say something? You said, hold up or something?
Oh.
Yeah, you had a question? For
those of us that are not as real estate versed as you guys might be, what is a rolling close?
Oh, just when, for example, if you were working with a seller and you gave them $1 million every time you raised them $1 million, and you had certain deadlines to do that, et cetera, et cetera. Or you told your investors we wouldn't close. We only close for every $1 million that we get in subscription. So like, if we raise $1 million and you're the next $100,000, your $100,000 is going to sit in escrow until we get to another $1 million, and then we'll send that $1 million forward. That kind of thing.
Gotcha. Cool.
So now, early on, I mean, one of our first experiences was capital raising. Early on, I put together this presentation, and one of my really good friends works in private equity, right? And I kind of like, I was like, hey, if you don't mind, can you look through my pitch deck, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, sure. Let me look at it. And he called me up, and he's one of those very direct, super intelligent guys, right? Self-made millionaire, whatever, but super, super direct, super intelligent. Love the guy. He's like, Young, are you looking for financing or equity? And I was like, well, financing. He's like, you're doing this all wrong. Yeah. So I was like, I'm looking for money. But he's like, you're doing this all wrong. If you're looking for a lender, you have to basically show no risk. And the thing is, like, you're talking about flipping a house and all this stuff. Like, a lender doesn't want to see that, blah, 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 that you're doing all this unless but an equity person is going to want to see that. But if you're looking for lending, you want to make sure that you paint the picture that it's low risk for a lender versus like an equity person, right? Who's all about like taking that risk for the bigger reward or whatever, right? So like, I guess the question I have, and then I completely changed my presentation and it worked out really well. But the question I have for you is when you're talking to like, I mean, there's a lot of different, the capital stack is many different pieces. You got you got private investors, you get lenders, you get venture capital, you get hard money, you have like equity partners, you have funds. I mean, there's a lot of, your capital stack could be many different things, cash, friends and family. Like, what do you think is if you were to talk about like, I know we're talking about your persona, right? But like, do you feel that it's necessary to talk differently to each group of people? Or do you feel that you believe in like, maybe you should just have your own voice? Or do you feel that you should kind of, when you're talking to each one of them, should you adjust your messaging for anybody or just, kind of like have one uniform voice then? What do you think? Or do you talk to each group differently?
Okay. So yeah. So we look for three different, there's going to be commonalities between all your avatars because otherwise they're not people. There's just simply going to be commonalities between all your avatars, period. And you want to look for those commonalities. And you do also want to create messaging that is specific to particular avatars, for sure. Do not misconstrue what I'm saying. But so you want to do both is what I'm basically saying. Okay. But it's not just that you want to do both. It's the big thing is that there is something in common. So you could find that one thing that's in common and still send out different messages. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. When we had the law firm, who were our clients? Our clients were mostly, real estate investors, entrepreneurs, builders, things like that, who were looking to syndicate deals or start funds. Okay, that's really like super basic. Like if we drill down even further, then what are we really looking at? Well, we're looking at the 30-year-old man who just started a family and is kind of a hot shot and really wants to like build his portfolio super quickly. We're looking at the 40-year-old woman who's the breadwinner of the family. She likes to work out and she goes, she has kids and she's in charge of her universe, right? And we're looking at the 50-year-old man who had another career and his kids are grown and he's bored and he feels like his retirement's not going to be enough, so he wants to build his cash flow, so he's trying to build this real estate business, right? So those are all very different people in very different stages of their life. We had 4 different avatars of the law firm. Those are the 3 I remember off the top of my head. So what did they all have in common? And it was 2 things. They liked dogs and luxury travel. And so every once in a while, we would try to wedge luxury travel and dogs into the conversation.
That's amazing. Hey, so we are running towards the end of our timing here.
I have a question before you do that.
Oh, I actually really enjoyed this. We got to do this more often.
One quick question before we start signing off. Red flags. So you as an investor, right? If somebody came up to you to pitch, like what is something right off the bat that would be a red flag to you that people do? That's a common thing that people that are looking for investors do. Like what's the biggest red flag?
So I'm gonna give you 2, a 2 for 1, if you will.
Yep.
That are gonna sound counterintuitive, but stay with me for a second. The first one is when a manager comes up to me and goes, and I'm not taking any fees. I'm not getting paid at all until you get your money back and get paid. And then I get paid. No, I will not invest in that in a second, because the minute you realize you're not making any money and you gotta make money to survive, you're out of there. And I'm not having that. So no, like I won't invest in that. The second one is, and I'll give you an example of what I mean by this, is when somebody is dishonest about the money that they're putting in. And I'll tell you what I mean. They try to be deceptive about how much money they're putting in. And I was on a pitch presentation, and I was a vocal participant of this pitch presentation. The people were pitching to a group, and I was like supposed to be judging their pitch. And oh boy, did I judge them. I think I might have ruined their deal because they did this little sneaky trick that I called them out on. They kept saying over and over and over again that they were investing $400,000 of their own money. They were going to invest the management team was investing $400,000 of their own money. They were going to invest. And we just want to remind you that we're investing $400,000 of our own money. I'm like, yeah, we get it. You're investing $400,000. So fast forward, they come to this slide.
Acquisition fee.
Yes.
I knew it. Acquisition fee. Oh.
Yeah.
We're going to give your money back to you.
Showing the slide, but they went off the slide really fast. And I was like, wait a minute.
Go back.
Have like fees in there totaling $400,000. And they're like, well, yeah, we have to eat too. And I'm like, you just said you're investing $400,000. You're not investing $400,000 of your own money. You're investing $400,000 of your investors' money as your money. Come on, dude. You're welcome to do that. But be transparent about it. Like to be like, make such a big deal about investing your own money when it's really not your money yet is like so off. We are taking an acquisition fee, but we're gonna reinvest it. That is way more honest.
That sounds a lot better than.
And yeah,
that's hilarious. It's not like people wouldn't realize it. It's the funny thing too. It's like kind of.
And it's not like an investor that knows what they're doing doesn't know that people have to make money and they have to eat.
Honestly, you don't want to work with you wouldn't want to work with an investor who like doesn't want you to eat. That's kind of bad too, right? Like everybody has to win.
Anytime somebody came to my law firm and was like, oh, we don't want to make any money until the investors make money. I'd be like, no, I'm not. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't think you should be writing that into the document. So, but you do you, boo.
Hey, so how do people get a hold of you then? If you want to go and tell the audience here then.
Yeah, the great way, go to our website. It's findmoreinvestors.com, findmoreinvestors.com. We have a program. We only take 5 people at a time. And I would love to talk to you about your situation and what you're trying to raise capital for. So apply for a spot and I'll be happy to help you guys raise capital out there.
Awesome. Hey, thanks for joining us. We'll have to do this again sometime. Always a pleasure.
It's super fun. Yeah.
And so if you're ever in Boston, let us know so we can kind of show you around.
Oh, absolutely.
September. I'll let you guys know.
Oh, you're gonna be in September for real?
Yeah. My son's graduating from high school, and our entire family lives in Boston, so we're gonna be there in September to celebrate his graduation. So I'll let you know.
Yeah, look us up. Love to. Yeah, let's get a drink, food, whatever. Let's do it. All right.
Awesome. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Yep. Thank you, Jillian.
Have a great night.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.